Hey, I'm Dr. Janice Castro, licensed psychologist and host of Latine ADHD podcast, a space where ADHD and cultura intersect, a place to learn, feel seen, and build resilience. Whether you have ADHD, care for someone who does, or work in the mental health field, this podcast offers real life strategies and culturally relevant insights. What this space is not is a replacement for therapy. However, if you are enjoying it, I strongly encourage you to subscribe, leave a review. Let me know what you think because I could definitely use the feedback so I can better provide what you're wanting to hear. So today is our last episode for season 2. I feel so grateful that we have made it to the end and we are ending with a bang because we are talking about unlocking motivation and beating boredom. How do we do this? When you have ADHD, you might notice that if a task is boring or it feels overwhelming, it's going to be really hard to get it done. And I want to talk to you about motivation and the two types of motivation that exist. And I want you to think about which one are you relying on to get you going and how to be able to spark that motivation for yourself. Because guess what? We cannot wait to feel motivated to do something. If you are waiting to feel motivated to do something, you catch yourself saying, I don't feel like doing it. And then you don't do it, then you're not going to do it because nobody can just magically feel motivated. You have to build the momentum. So we're going to talk about that too. When a task feels boring or overwhelming, it's not just the task. There's a lot of boring and overwhelming tasks. It's about how you feel about it. So that uncomfortable feeling that you get of a task being boring or overwhelming can lead to 3 unhealthy ways of coping. If you have ADHD, you don't rely on the task is important, so I will do it. Nah, you rely very much on, is the task interesting? Do I like it? Is it easy? So when the things are not easy, when they are not simple or interesting, you may notice yourself, 1, avoiding it, 2, relying on a stress exhaustion cycle, or 3, straight up procrastinating. When you avoid a task, you're putting it off and you're hoping that it'll get done later. I'm going to just do that tomorrow. And guess what? That later or tomorrow, it doesn't come. And then you're faced with the consequences of having missed a deadline or having the task done and feeling regrets for not having done it sooner. Nobody likes to feel regret. And I'm here to tell you that when it comes to challenging that avoidance pattern, it takes practice. So you want to be easy on yourself. Go down to the show notes of this episode, sign up for my newsletter because you will get access to a free avoidance pattern worksheet that's going to help you break out of that pattern. Now, another unhealthy way of coping besides avoidance is that stress exhaustion cycle. That's when you tell yourself, oh, I work well under pressure, so I'm going to just do it later. You wait until the last minute. You use panic, urgency to push you through. You're relying on your brain to release stress hormones that are called cortisol to get you going. So you're stressing yourself out to get something done. You're scaring yourself. You're trying to imagine worst case scenario because you have no other choice. So you are forcing yourself into doing a task. I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to be that way. Number 3 was procrastination. So you straight up just don't do it. Or you know what you do? Procrastivity. That is a term that Dr. Russell Ramsey came up with to describe this combination of productivity and procrastination. So let's say you got task number 1, super important. That's why it's number 1, but it's boring or it feels overwhelming because you're like, shoot, if I got to do task number one, that means I got to do this, and then I got to do that, and then I got to do this and that and this and that, and then you feel overwhelmed. So instead, you're going to do task number two. Task number two, it's a little easier. You've done it before. It's not going to take too long. So you trick yourself into thinking, I'm going to be productive because I'm doing task number two, when really you know that task number one is important. It takes priority and you are procrastinating on it. When you avoid, rely on your stress exhaustion cycle, or you engage in procrastivity, you may notice that you start to shame yourself. You start to feel guilty. And the shame that shows up so often with ADHD is because if you have ADHD, you're showing up in a world day after day that wasn't built for the way that your brain works. This world was built for neurotypical people. And you notice those differences and you compare yourself to other people. And you may question, why can't I just be like that person? Why can't I just do it? And then you start to feel like an imposter. You may notice that you feel like you're wearing a mask and that any minute somebody's going to take that mask off and say, you don't really belong here. So if you notice that this resonates with you, I encourage you to check out season 2, the first episode of season 2, for a deep dive into imposter phenomenon and ADHD and how to be able to manage that. Now, you got the shame, you got the guilt, there's procrastination or avoidance or the stress exhaustion cycle. Your brain is working overtime, okay? And those big feelings require a lot of energy. When you are shaming yourself, when you're feeling guilty, your emotions are running high. And in the Spanish-speaking household, you may have heard ponte las pilas. Well, guess what? When you're engaging in this stress exhaustion cycle, or you're procrastinating or avoiding, feeling shame, feeling guilt, you are draining your pilas real fast. No wonder it is that you feel so exhausted. So how do we get out of that? How do we break that boredom and unlock that motivation? There's going to be 2 types of motivation that I want you to focus on. There is the extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. What is the difference? Extrinsic, think external, think outside, think things that you can feel or touch. This is the money, the certificates, the diplomas, the trophies, the prizes. These are the things that you get for getting something done. These can work, but if you only rely on extrinsic motivation, you might struggle to feel truly fulfilled. And I want you to feel truly fulfilled for the things that you're doing so that you are living the life that you want for yourself. That is why intrinsic motivation is key. Okay, it is all right. It is totally fine to rely on extrinsic motivation, but don't let that be the only type. Intrinsic motivation, that comes from within. So think intrinsic, within, because you genuinely want to do that thing. Why do you want to do it? Guess what? It's connected to how you feel. So how do we spark that intrinsic motivation? There's 4 ways. Number 1, go to your why. Why are you doing this? ¿Por qué? Why does this task matter to you? How does it connect to the life that you want to build? And number 2, talk to yourself. What would a future you say about starting that task today? Number 3, visualize the finish line. Picture, how are you going to feel? What does it look like? What do you see when the task is done? When you can visualize how you feel, what you see, when you focus on that feeling of relief and accomplishment, it's going to help you with that intrinsic motivation. And number 4, you got to shift your identity statements. What I mean by that is your I statements. So when you catch yourself saying, I need to do better, Try, I am someone who is always learning and growing. This is what's going to create that positive sense of urgency. It's not negative, it's not stress related. It is a positive sense of urgency. You are building momentum with yourself without the shame and overwhelm. Your brain works differently if you have ADHD compared to most people. By connecting to your why, talking to future you, visualizing that finish line, you can shift from this emotional exhaustion and constant reliance on stress and anxiety to feeling empowered and taking action. You got this.